Hello, and thank you for tuning into this week's Mayor's Update. As always, we have a lot of important information to share with you here this week, so please feel free to share this video with your friends, family, relatives, and anyone else who you think may find this information helpful over the course of the coming week. I want to start off by wishing a congratulations to A. Jandris and Sons Concrete Solutions over in South Gardner on High Street. As some of you may know, last year they actually celebrated their 100th year here in the city at that same exact location. However, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they were unable to celebrate. Their 101st anniversary is coming up soon, so since we weren't able to wish them a happy 100th anniversary last year, I just wanted to wish them a public 101st anniversary and hope that they continue very well and strong here in the city of Gardner. We are very lucky to have them. If you look at the other businesses that are similar manufacturers in that industry, they're really the biggest in Massachusetts, and you have to go pretty far away to find a competitor of theirs. And we're lucky to have them right here in Gardner and had them here in that location for the past 100 years. So congratulations to Dana Morse and the entire crew over at A. Jandris and Sons for achieving that milestone last year and continuing to work strong here in the city of Gardner as well. We're next going to be talking about our construction projects here in the city. We'll start with our water main projects. For those of you who may not know, we are replacing all of the water main lines here in the city of Gardner that were put in between the years of 1880 and 1925. So that's pipes that are between 100 to approximately 150 years old here in Gardner, from before Gardner was a city itself. And it just goes to show you how old some of the infrastructure is here in the city and why we took out that $11 million loan last year to replace these pipes. If you look around the city, the main places where we've experienced the most recent water main breaks, aside from the construction areas, are on pipes that were simply 125 years old just because they've reached their useful life limit. So we are going through and replacing those. If you are driving through the city and you see a random orange cone or an orange traffic barrel on the street next to what looks like a small hose in the middle of the ground, that's actually there for a reason as well. As the new pipes get installed, the water, when it gets first put through those, also has to navigate through a bunch of the air that's in the pipes. And when a pipe has an air pocket, you have an issue where the water comes in on both sides and you put pressure on that air that there's nowhere for the air to go, that it causes the pipe to burst. And that's one of the main reasons why we have water main breaks here. So those hoses that are in the ground are actually set with a valve to make sure that all of the air that's in the pipes has a way to get out of the pipe to prevent any future water main breaks happening as a result of us filling those brand new pipes. So if you see water squirting out of the ground from one of those hoses in the middle of the street, that's actually doing its job of sucking all of the excess air out of the pipe so that the water has room to flow through the pipe at the pressure that it's set at, and it doesn't cause any pressure issues nor cause the pipes to burst as a result. Once water is fully flowing in all the pipes, crews will go through when they go to pave the roads and remove all of those excess hose pipes to get the air vents out as well. But for now, that's why they are there in the road. We did finish our installation of the water main on Parker Street and on Central Street. We are up at the Uptown Rotary with our crews. They're going 200 feet into Elm Street, down to just past the old cemetery on Green Street, and about 300 feet up into Pearl Street. And the reason for that is next year is when the state is slated to go through and do all of the renovations and construction at the Uptown Rotary to make the repairs, to make the Rotary more of a rounded structure rather than the blob-shaped island, if you will, for lack of a better term. So by getting those pipes in now, we don't have to worry about having to go back later on after the new Rotary is put in and all that construction is done to then tear it up and put the pipes in at that time. So we're going to try to replace as much as we can there. Crews next week will also be going down Woodland Avenue, probably around the Thursday or Friday end of the week after they're done on Pearl, Green, and Elm. And then on the other side of Pearl, Rivoli Construction is actually sending in a third crew to begin the water main replacement over in that side of the city. They'll start at Pearly Lane, work back down Pearl Street through the Route 140, Route 101 intersection, and they'll end putting that new line in at Chapel Street. So we will see some crew construction out there beginning next week. So if you are traveling and you utilize the Route 140, 101 intersection, please make sure you do add a couple minutes to your commute, as you may have a couple detours or workarounds as you're going through that intersection beginning next week. We want to make sure people have as much of a heads up on that as possible because that is coming down the pike, no pun intended. Our water crews are also going to be down in the Robillard, Pond, Wickman, Douglas, and Draper section for the next several weeks as well. The crews that were working on Parker Street are now working in that section of the area to replace the water lines over in that area. Now, once we are done replacing all of the water lines, except for the water line on Pearl Street, crews will go through and mill down the entire pavement from sidewalk to sidewalk and put a brand new coat of pavement to replace the full road now that everything in the ground is done. So Pearl Street will just have the trench over that area rather than paving from curb to curb. However, every other area in the city that is having water main work will have a brand new road from sidewalk to sidewalk on both sides of the street. That is something that is part of the loan that we took out as well that the City Council approved last summer. I do want to also just give you all an update regarding the gas line that the construction company hit while replacing the water main lines on Thursday, August 12th last week over at the Uptown Rotary. The gas line was not an active gas line. It had been one that had been abandoned by Unitil, and the smell that came out of it was from the gas that was left in it from before the gas was shut off. Like we are doing with our own water lines right now, when you replace the old pipes with a new pipe, you actually just abandon the old pipe and you keep it in the ground rather than having to take the whole thing out and replace it. So this was an old pipe that had since been replaced. There was no danger to anyone in the area. The area was just simply ventilated, and then work continued in the area. There was no threat to any property or person in that area, as again, the line was an unmarked line. It was not in any of the maps that were included. It was not in any of the surveys that were done in the area, just because it simply didn't pop up because it was an old abandoned line, and that shows you how old it was, that it wasn't shown on any of the recent maps that we've done in that area. So don't worry about that. If you heard about that, or if you called and asked any questions about that, there was no danger to the safety of the public who are in that area. Our paving projects are continuing as well. This past week, crews continued with the sidewalks on Vernon Street. They should be done that project within the next week or two. And once the concrete sidewalks are done, crews will go through and put the base coat, the final coat of pavement over on Vernon Street. It did have its base coat done last year, and that'll complete the construction on Vernon Street. This past week, crews completed paving on Chapman Park and Ashley Drive. They had the road fully pulverized and reclaimed. That means it was turned into a dirt road for a little bit, and then 2 full coats of pavements done on top of that. And Bear Hill Road and Leo Drive were fully pulverized as well, with the first coats of pavement being put on Leo Drive this past week. Those projects will continue and be completed next week, with the paving projects being completed over on Leo and Bear Hill. A couple people have asked what the process is like that we go through when we make the paving list. And the main factors that come into play there are the number of houses that are on the street, the number of cars that traffic that street, and the condition of the road. So while there may be some areas of the city where the condition of the road is a very strong factor, if there's just simply not as many houses on that street as there are on another one, and there's triple the number of houses on a different street, that street does get priority just because there are more cars that travel down that area than there are on the smaller roads. Now, we do make it a point to try to get to as many roads as we can and make a plan so that we can get to those roads. However, we do have to make sure that we are doing as much good for the most amount of people every year when we make our paving list. We understand that there are several concerns with several areas of the city with where they fall on the paving priority list. We are doing everything we can with the funding that we have available to us. There is talk about a potential infrastructure bill coming at the federal level that would help provide funding to the city. We are evaluating the best way to utilize those funds if we should get them. There are still several procedural votes that have to happen before that does get to us. However, we are making sure that if it does get to us, we have a shovel-ready plan ready to go, should we need to make sure that we're not playing catch-up when it comes time for it, but simply just press and go and moving forward. I also just want to throw out there as well that at the September City Council meeting, I have spoken to Council President Elizabeth Kaczynskis. Myself, along with the DPW, City Engineer, and Fire Chief, will be doing a formal presentation before the City Council and an informal meeting before their regular 7:30 meeting. Most likely at 6, but the time is still being worked out. Keep an eye out on the city's website for the exact time, to explain everything that happened last week with our much larger water main break why it happened, what caused it, what was done to fix it, what issues came up that we didn't expect, and how we are preventing something like that from happening in the future. We want to make sure people know that we have a plan in place, and we have plans A through H also in place as contingency plans to make sure that you as the public can see as transparently as possible how we are moving forward and what we have in place should events like that ever arise again in the future. So please keep an eye out for that presentation as well. That will be recorded as part of a council meeting, as all of our city council formal and informal meetings are. So thank you very much to President Kaczynskis for allowing us that opportunity to present that information to the public and to the city council as well. The School Safety Committee will be hosting a webinar within the coming weeks to announce what the current guidance is as we move forward to the beginning of the school year. Our teachers are starting, I believe, on August 25th, and our students are starting on August 30th this year. So we are getting close to the beginning of the school year. The Safety Committee is made up of several medical professionals that work with our school nurse leader, 2 physicians from the community, and a couple other people from the medical field who will review that guidance themselves and then move forward to see the best way to approach the beginning of the school year so that the public can see where the discussions come from regarding how we move forward with our school year, what the current guidance is from the state, and how to mend the guidance, or mesh the guidance that we are receiving from the CDC, the Department of Public Health at the state level, and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education from a medical perspective. And then the superintendent of schools will make the decisions moving forward from there to present to the school committee at the September meeting. But the superintendent of schools makes that initial decision, and then we move forward from there. So please keep your eye out on the city's website as well as the school department's website and social media platforms so that you can have access to that should you like to watch that information session when it becomes available. We want to make sure, again, we are being as transparent as possible with the public throughout all of the decisions that are being made here at City Hall and all of our city offices. I want to remind our residents who are watching to sign up for our Code Red system. We will be conducting 3 separate tests of the Code Red system next week. And the reason why we are conducting 3 separate tests is that we have the emergency line with a computerized voice in which a typed message is automatically read to the public. We have the emergency system in which a voice recording can be made. And then we have the non-emergency notification system as well. So those 3 tests will be running within the next week. If you are not on the city's Code Red system, you can call the mayor's office at 978-630-1490, and someone here will be happy to register for you that, or you can register yourself on the city's website, www.gardner-ma.gov. Now, we do this test once a year to make sure it's working properly. One of the things I will say is that if you do receive a voice message, sometimes they are harder to hear. The way the software works is that a voice recorded message is can be no longer than 20 seconds long because of the way that the automatic system works with answering machine services. So if someone like myself were to record a message and the recorded message is actually 45 seconds long, it actually shrinks it and speeds it up so that it fits into that 20-second time frame. So sometimes as a result, the message is either really fast or sounds kind of blurry as that is being announced on the system. So if you do ever have any questions about what comes through on a voice recorded message, feel free to call the mayor's office at any time and we can certainly help clarify that for you as well. The Community Development and Planning Department is seeking public input on suggestions on what can be added to the Gardner Dog Park over at Pulaski Park. The dog park was put in several years ago with a grant from the Stanton Foundation, who is offering another grant for the city to apply to. However, we would like your input on items that you would like us to see apply for through this grant to improve the dog park. For those of you who use the dog park and utilize its services, what would you like to see? What's it missing? What could be improved? Those are all things that we would like to see your thoughts on. That way we know what to apply for when the grant is due. So if you have any suggestions, you can either email them to myself at mayor@gardner-ma.gov or to the Assistant Director of Community Development and Planning, Lindsay Butler, at lbutler, B-U-T-L-E-R, at gardner-ma.gov, and one of us will be sure to get back to you, and we appreciate any input that you have on that as well. And the last thing that we're going to be talking about today is just to let you all know that Governor Baker did sign the law requiring the city to utilize mail-in voting for the upcoming municipal election. So the city clerk's office is working through the logistics of that and seeing what's going forward and what needs to be done so that residents can vote by mail as instead of going to the polls on election day, as was traditional there too. This is similar, exactly the same thing we did last year for the municipal and state elections last year, in which you can vote early by mail. Again, so that is being required by the state for all cities for the upcoming fall elections, and Gardner does fall into that. With that said, we are still seeking people who are interested in becoming poll workers here in the city. These are all paid positions to work the polls on election day. If you are interested in becoming a poll worker here to help run the election stations here in the city of Gardner, please contact our city clerk, TT Serafan, at tsirafan@gardner-ma.gov, or our human resources director, Deborah Pond, at dpond@gardner-ma.gov. And we'll be sure to get you all the information to answer any questions or get you signed up if you are interested in helping us out on that days. Again, those are paid positions here in the city of Gardner. But that concludes this week's update. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to my office. Please be checking the city's website and social media platforms for any updates that come through the week and the detailed paving schedules for the upcoming week as well. And if anything comes up during the week, we'll be sure to let you know in any different way we can via our Code Red system, our social media platforms, or any other way that we can notify the public. Please stay cool with the hot weather that we've been having out there. And until we speak again next week, I do hope you have a great day. And please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you very much and have a good day.